everyone! Welcome back to Story Hive. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Let's jump into today's story. Wife cheated for fun and justified it. I divorced her. Now she's desperately begging to come back. I'm a 30-year-old male and my wife is a 27-year-old female. We've been married for 4 years. We got married relatively young. She was pretty young, but it felt right for both of us at the time. We dated for about a year and some change, and that was enough for us. We knew we were meant to be. However, with some recent developments, I'm not sure if we truly were. I have a solid job. My brothers and I operate a jewelry business together. We built it from nothing and have grown it to very profitable levels, which is something to be proud of. I know people say that business with family can be very hard, but honestly, for us, it's been a dream. We've never been the kind of siblings to butt heads with each other constantly, so your mileage may definitely vary. On the other hand, my wife opened a cute cafe where people could come to get pastries, drink coffee, and read books. She's always been big on books and is one of those people who proudly makes reading her personality. Those types annoyed the crap out of me before I met her, but yeah, I'm a hypocrite. Bite me. To be honest, I was pretty enthralled with the idea because I was trying to support her, so I did her favors by helping her pay the rent on the place she's using. It's pretty expensive because it's in a swankier part of town, but the business is becoming profitable, at least without rent to worry about, and that was enough to put a smile on my face. Now, I think that's the background you need. Here's where the actual story starts. I can't remember exactly when, but I think it was about March when she came to tell me about this new man who showed up at the cafe. According to her, he was very handsome. I'm a secure person, and I found that the two of us could objectively talk about someone's attractiveness without it becoming a big issue. However, there was something different about the way she kept going on about this guy. Supposedly, he seemed like the kind of masculine hero that she reads about in the kind of smut women like to read. Yes, she's into those kinds of books too, as all book-type women seem to be, and I'll never get it because it seems to be the cheesiest form of romance that gets them going. Anyway, she went on for a bit about this guy, but I will admit that the words she chose when she spoke about him were almost like how she would talk about the cold Russian hitman who fell for some woman in the laundry room of their apartment building. No, I didn't make that up. That's from an actual book she finds interesting. That was it for the day, but she let me know that he came in the next day, and they spoke at length. According to her, he was from Serbia and used to work as a car dealer, but he decided to come to the United States in search of a better life. It was taking him some time to get back on his feet and get his bearings, but he was looking for work at dealerships nearby because that was the work he knew how to do best. I learned in about 10 minutes that he was tall, blond, handsome, dressed well, and obviously spoke with an accent. Apparently he loved to read books set in the Wild West and was a big fan of fantasy, like The Lord of the Rings. She always tells me a lot about her cafe's patrons, so it's not like this was out of the ordinary, but once again there was really flowery verbiage at play, and it seemed like she was almost fetishizing him in a way. At a point, he wasn't novel to her anymore, so she stopped talking about him at length. But it felt better to me knowing that he didn't seem to be worthy of long spiels every evening anymore. Hell, I even popped into her cafe one afternoon to bring her lunch and saw a guy sitting in the corner who fit the exact description. I was 100 sure it was him, and admittedly, he was a handsome guy. His name was Ivan, according to her. Now, it's about at this point that things start to get a bit wild. There was a night when she got back home with a goofy smile on her face, so I asked her what was up. She said Ivan had walked her home and they had talked a lot about books on the way back. She admitted that he asked to take her out on a date, but she informed him that she was married and wouldn't be able to do that. She said he was really apologetic, held her hand tenderly, and then said good night and left. I remember asking her why that made her smile so widely, and her response was, "It's like something out of a book." I won't lie, that part pissed me off because it was like she was romanticizing every single interaction she was having with Ivan. I knew that because he was a patron of her cuff, I didn't want to seem insecure, and she could have decided to tell him that she didn't have a man. So again, I felt there was no need to talk about things despite the fact that I felt some kind of way about it. It was just my feelings I had to get over right. It eventually became evident to me that this wasn't the case when my wife came home about a week later with a bouquet of flowers that she promptly put into a vase. According to her, it was a gift from Ivan. Nothing special, he said, that he bought a bunch for a coworker. He has because it was her birthday, and he just thought it'd be nice to get her some because he always sees how hard she's working. I felt my head get hot as she said that because she was trying to paint the situation like she was a schoolgirl who didn't understand when someone liked her. I asked her straight up whether she could tell that Ivan really liked her. She said it was obvious, especially after he asked her out, but she believed the flowers were just a friendly thing. That had me baffled, because if you're a guy, you probably don't get flowers for a girl that rebuffed you even if it was because she was married as a friendly thing. He was still trying to get in her pants, or maybe now trying to get in her pants and leave all the rest of the lovey-dovey stuff out of it. He was having an easy time with his advances, so at the time I knew he wasn't about to stop anytime soon. I was right because 2 days later, my wife came home relatively later than usual, almost 2 hours late, and she didn't tell me she was going to be late. "It's not like this" was the first time in existence that she would come home late, so I gave her 2 calls, which went unanswered before deciding to give it time. But before I could call a third time, "You won't believe the evening I had," was the first thing out of her mouth before she went into a whole spiel about how she had shown Ivan where the museum was, and then they went to get a slice of American pizza because he had never had it before and always saw it in the movies. Then they walked and talked and ate. When she was done, I asked her, "Are you attracted to Ivan?" She acted very shocked and offended, saying, "Of course not. The only person I'm attracted to in that way is you." She said she was just trying to welcome somebody who was in an unfamiliar country and had no friends or close people around him to show him around and answer his questions. I wasn't really convinced by all of this, so I told her straight up that she had to stop seeing Ivan. Yeah, that caused a big fight, quite unsurprisingly. She talked about how I was being insecure, how there was nothing there, how I should stop feeling threatened, and a lot more nonsense. I was pissed, but I was able to keep my wits about me and stop my temper from raging. I stood my ground, though, and told her that she should stop anything extracurricular with Ivan. It was fair if he came by her cuff because he was a customer, but things weren't supposed to go beyond that point. I told her to imagine what she would do in my shoes if some Serbian girl came to buy a bracelet, and I started taking her walking around town. According to her, she'd understand, but I think we all know that's a lie, don't we? Long story short, I slept on the couch. No one is shocked there, but the good thing is that I stopped hearing about Ivan and all his drama, which was enough for my mental health. Again, I knew she would be interacting with him at her cuff, but there was only so much that could happen there, and it seemed pretty sure that nothing was going on because she was heading back home at the regular time each night, which was good by me. I became very suspicious when I walked into my wife's cuff randomly one afternoon, and she wasn't there. Neither was Ivan, though I couldn't have been sure that he would have been there at that time anyway, so that didn't mean much. But what did mean much was that she wasn't there, because that was very unusual. I thought it was funny because she had some other girl who worked for her, and I went to ask about her. The girl claimed she didn't know, but I noticed that the girl was on her phone scrolling a lot, so I just thought it might be weird. When I got home, I texted my wife. By the time I woke up in the morning, I still hadn't heard back. That day, I thought about the fact that I hadn't heard from her the entire day. I also started thinking about all the things that had happened in the last couple of months. There was definitely something off, and I didn't know why I wasn't paying more attention earlier. That's when I decided that it was time to investigate, and I called up my brother, who agreed to help me. The investigation took a week. I should mention that my brother is the tech-savvy one in the family. He's also great with learning to decipher hidden camera footage, which he offered to help me with since I was dead set on figuring out the situation. We discovered she had been seeing Ivan for the last month and had gone to all kinds of restaurants and parks, just hanging out with him. She claimed it was innocent, however. They were even sneaking off to have coffee together at odd hours of the day. The footage showed them eating dinner, flirting, and even touching. The last straw was that she seemed to have her head on his shoulder while they were at a bookstore laughing together. After this revelation I was livid. I waited for her to come home that day to confront her, and when she walked in the door, I stood in the living room, arms crossed, waiting for her. Her goofy smile faltered as soon as she laid eyes on me, and I felt like I was some kind of predator ready to pounce. "Hi, honey, how was your day?" she asked. I stared at her for a moment before responding. "Not as good as yours." That seemed to throw her off completely, and after a few moments she finally asked what I meant. I told her I knew everything about her and Ivan, and how she'd been seeing him behind my back for weeks. I could tell by her shocked expression that she didn't think I would find out. It was both amusing and angering to watch her try to recover. She stammered and said it was all innocent and nothing was going on. I didn't want to hear it. I told her it was time for her to pack her things and leave. She started begging and crying, telling me how she made a mistake and that she was sorry. It felt strange seeing her in that position after months of seeing her smile about her friend and pretending everything was fine while she was hanging out with him. When she came at me with, "But we're married," I replied, "You forgot about that when you decided to cheat." I think it broke her heart to hear that because she went completely quiet and just stared at me for a moment. After a while, I let her sit there and collect herself. It was hard, and I'll be honest, I felt some satisfaction in knowing that she was hurting a fraction of how much I was hurt. Eventually, she started talking again, trying to bargain with me. She promised it would never happen again, that she would stop seeing Ivan. But I told her there was no going back. In the end, I filed for divorce. There was no going back. I just couldn't see how I could ever trust her again. I also made sure to send a message to Ivan about what happened. I made it very clear that if he ever came near her again, I would do everything in my power to make his life miserable. He blocked me before I even finished typing, so I guess he knew what was coming. My wife has since been begging to come back. It's been a few months. Honestly, I'm torn. I miss her, I love her, but I know I can never trust her again. I want to forgive her, but I don't know if I can ever truly move on. I've spent a lot of time reflecting on everything. I keep replaying the moments we shared, the love we built, and then the betrayal that shattered it all. It's like living in two different worlds, one where everything was perfect, and another where everything came crashing down. My friends and family have been supportive, urging me to move on and reminding me that I deserve better. They tell me that trust is everything in a relationship, but sometimes I find myself missing the little things, the way she'd laugh at my jokes, the way we'd share our dreams, and even the quiet moments when we'd just sit together and enjoy each other's presence. When she first reached out, I was flooded with memories of our good times. I remember our spontaneous road trips, the late night talks, and how we dream about our future. I never thought we'd end up here. The idea of her begging to come back feels surreal, almost like a scene from one of her beloved novels, full of drama, emotion, and an unexpected twist. She claims she's changed, that she's worked on herself and understands the gravity of what she did. Part of me wants to believe her, to think that people can grow and learn from their mistakes. But another part of me screams in agony at the thought of putting myself in a position to be hurt again. I've started going out more, trying to meet new people and find new hobbies. It's been refreshing in a way. I've even thought about traveling, something we talked about doing together, but never got around to. I want to explore the world on my terms, without the baggage of our past weighing me down. Yet, I can't shake the feeling of guilt for feeling this way. Shouldn't I want to give her another chance? Isn't love about forgiveness? But love is also about respect, trust, and honesty. And that's what feels broken between us. As I sit here contemplating my next move, I realize that I need to focus on what's best for me. It's hard to think about, but I've come to understand that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. I can't keep looking back at what we had. I need to look forward to what could be, whether that's healing on my own or finding someone new who truly appreciates me. In the end, I don't know what I'll decide. For now, I'll take it one day at a time. I owe it to myself to find happiness again, whatever that may look like. Thanks for tuning in to today's Reddit story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on more amazing stories. See you next time.